Alex,
Yeah.
my American friend. Do you
Yes.
know? Do you know what Tim Hortons is?
No.
Okay, so Tim Hortons is a Canadian coffee and donut shop,
Okay.
and it's like kind of a big deal around here. It's pretty huge.
Is it like the Dunkin' Donuts of Canada?
It might be. I don't really know what Dunkin' Donuts is. I know it's a place to get donuts.
And coffee. So okay.
and
So,
co-
so
okay,
far,
so
I'm
it's probably the Dunkin'.
pretending-
Yeah,
I'm pretending like if I was to walk into a Dunkin' Donuts and they were just saying like A, and all the donuts were like maple syrup flavored.
that is yes, exactly. That is basically Tim Hortons. You nailed it. Like it's huge around here. You can't drive for 5 minutes in any direction anywhere you live in this city without running into one. Like they are everywhere, and Canadians love it. They love Tim Hortons. Like sometimes I've heard people say they must put like drugs in their coffee because the lineups are so long. Like in the morning, if you want to go get a coffee in the morning, it doesn't matter any time between 7 and 10 o'clock. The lineups are so long.
Okay.
And then like the lunch lineup starts again at 11. Like it's just, you can't get in there and get a coffee at any time.
Now they okay. A lot
yeah.
of these places have terrible like lunch stuff.
Yeah.
That have a good like. Is this place got a good lunch,
This place has
or are they just going for the coffee?
they have a fake good lunch. So they have like a lunch that makes you think that you're eating healthy, but you aren't.
No.
So it's like, it's soups and sandwiches, but you're going to feel like you're doing the right thing, but you aren't. If the numbers were broken down, you aren't doing the right thing. But like, I used to think maybe they did have drugs in their coffee like everyone else was thinking, because I actually really like McDonald's coffee much better than Tim Hortons, but I still go to Tim Hortons. I go to Tim Hortons every morning, but I actually like the taste of McDonald's coffee better.
So it's like a mind manipulating drug.
Yeah.
Or they just entice you to come into their subpar coffee.
That's exactly what I used to think. I used to think there must be something, yeah, exactly, some mind manipulating drug that pulls me in. It's not like it's hard to find McDonald's around. Like if I like the coffee better, why wouldn't I go there? Right? Like there's, on my drive, so I will drive to work from two places. I'll drive to work from my dad's place, or I'll drive to work from Laura's place. Mm-hmm. And on both drives, there's the Tim Hortons that I always go to every morning.
How many
from my dad?
Pass?
How many do I pass? Oh man.
Yeah.
I probably pass, so from Laura's is a little different because it's highway driving.
Okay.
I still pass probably 2 more once I get into the city. But from my dad's, I would pass 3 or 4 around an area that I could go to.
And you have like a specific one you go to?
Yeah. I go to the one.
Screw you, other two.
Well, I go to the one
thing.
closest to my dad's so that the coffee has cooled down by the time I'm at work. So I can drink it right away.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Because if I get it at the one close to work, then it's too hot when I get to work to drink.
Right.
And then sometimes I get wrapped up in my work and I forget. And then by the time I get to it, it's cold and nobody wants that.
And you want the coffee as soon as you walk in that door.
Oh, yeah. As soon as I walk
You're
in
at
and
work.
sit down.
You don't
exactly.
want to, feel the effects of work.
Exactly. As soon as I walk in, sit down at my desk, I want to be starting that coffee. And also then you can like walk around and talk to people because you have a coffee in your hand. It allows you to do that. Like coffee is the reason, it's like an excuse to not do work. Right? If you're walking around talking to people without a coffee, you could get in trouble.
Yeah. Right.
You have to have that coffee in your hand.
And it just looks weird too. Like you're kind of creepy.
Oh yeah.
You're
like I don't want to hear about your day.
Mr. Sociable.
Yeah. Like weirdo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the 2 Tim Hortons that I would go to, the one from my dad's actually has a McDonald's in the same parking lot. And the lineup is way shorter. It's way shorter than McDonald's. And I go to the Tim Hortons. And then the one from Laura's place, I actually have to backtrack a bit to go to the Tim Hortons when if I would just hit the highway right away, there's a McDonald's right on the way. So I'm going to Tim Hortons without really even thinking about it instead of McDonald's where I like the coffee. So I started to think, why is this happening? Why am I going to Tim Hortons? And this week, I actually figured it out.
Okay, give it to me.
And so it's not drugs in the coffee. Oh. It's because Tim Hortons is tricking me. Okay. So they have this contest.
You gotta explain this.
Yeah. They have this contest called called Roll Up the Rim to Win. So after you finish your coffee, you can roll up the rim on the coffee cup, and there's a prize message underneath.
Oh,
And it either says you win like a donut or a coffee or whatever. It can go all the way up to a car, right? They have a big grand prize. Or it'll say, please play again.
okay.
And so I'm obviously going to Tim Hortons during this time because I'm not going to pass up the chance to win a free coffee.
Right, or the car, because of course you're going to win
Oh,
the car.
well, exactly. There's a chance, right? So you're saying there's a chance. So here's the thing. The promotion ended in April. It's now May, and I'm still going to Tim Hortons.
But they don't have the roll-up anymore.
They don't have the roll-up anymore. So why am I still
What are
going
you
to Tim
doing?
Hortons? I know. So on Monday, I was at Laura's. I was in a big rush, so I didn't have time to backtrack and go to the Tim Hortons. So I was like, let's skip coffee today. If I can't get to Tim Hortons, there's no coffee. So as I'm driving out of town, I notice the Golden Arches, and something clicks in my mind. I say, hey, I think McDonald's serves coffee too. And I think I used to enjoy it. So I get my coffee.
You gotta like try and piece it back together.
Exactly.
Tim
It's
Hortons
like
has spent so much time like dissecting your memories.
it's very true. Like, wait a second, I think they have coffee here too. I get my coffee, and it's the best coffee I've had in months. Like, I love it. I enjoyed that drive on Monday morning so much. It's like an hour and 15 minutes to my work. It was the best. It was so good.
That sounds really hard to make not horrible. An hour and 15-minute commute to work.
And it was amazing. Like, it was
Right.
one of the best times. One of the best times I've had.
Good job, McDonald's.
So I started thinking, why don't I go to McDonald's, right? So remember I said Tim Hortons is tricking me.
Yes.
So do you know how long it takes for a habit to form? I Googled
you have
it.
to do it like 16, 17 times.
No, it's actually way more than that. I looked it up. If you do something 66 times in a row, 66 days in a row, you can form a habit. Do you know how long Roll Up the Rim to Win promo goes for?
How long?
73 days.
73 days.
That's exactly 1 week longer than it takes to form a habit. I keep going to Tim Hortons because my mind can't remember how to do anything else.
They've formed a habit.
They formed a habit. Like, I actually get up in the morning, get in my car, and just drive to Tim Hortons. I don't even know why. I don't even think of who has the best coffee this morning. Okay, here's the thing.
Team.
Laura and I even bought a house this weekend.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you so much. We are very excited. We're just
looks
thrilled for it.
amazing.
Thank you. And you know what? I picked the house closest to the Tim Hortons. we saw probably 8 to 10 houses. I picked the house closest to Tim Hortons. And I'm not going to say that was the best feature of the house, but I sure did use it as a deciding factor.
Yeah, that's quite an amenity to put on the list.
Yeah.
Now, did you consciously pick that, or did you realize it after the fact?
No, I actually said, while we were looking in houses, this one's super close to the Tim Hortons.
Oh, they got you.
They've brainwashed me.
Yeah, you're theirs. You are a puppet of Tim
I
Hortons.
know. Every single year I go through this. I enjoy my McDonald's coffee for like a few months, and then Roll Up the Rim comes along. And it sucks me in for like 10 months, even though the contest is only 73 days. And I drink worse coffee, and I sit in longer lines.
Ladies and gentlemen, this episode of First Last brought to you by Tim Hortons.
Yeah, well, we actually will have a sponsor later that isn't totally unrelated.
Yeah. So I'm on their website right now,
Okay.
and it does seem very similar to the Dunkin' Donuts that I was
Okay.
talking about.
Yeah.
I can't say that I want one of their coffees, but one of their teasers, what they call them, those teas look good.
Yeah.
I think when Sarah and I come up for your wedding,
You're going to hit up the Tim
stop
Hortons.
at Tim Hortons.
Like, you almost have to. It's a Canadian, like, I still love them. Even though they're tricking me and making me go there every morning, even though I like McDonald's coffee better. You know what? The promo's not even that good.
I mean, how often do you even win something?
Not a lot.
No.
Like, if we're talking about, like, statistics, and we represent it as, like, a percentage, it probably rounds down to 0. Like, it's so little that I actually win in that contest. I actually didn't win one time this past year, but I did buy coffee for 3 people, sort of on the way to their place. We're going to hang out. I'll bring the coffee. All 3 of those people won. That's my coffee that I bought them. All 3 of those people won, and I didn't win the whole time.
So then they buy coffee next time.
Well, they take their free coffee and get themselves a free coffee. Yeah, I don't know. We haven't hung out since, and they haven't brought me coffee. So I don't know what's up there.
So I'm actually looking at their roll up the rim and roll up the rim to win. That is really wordy.
Yeah, it's fun though.
But I'm looking at all these amazing prizes you can win.
Yeah, it's great. I'm actually okay. So I'm also super, super proud of how good I am at rolling up the rim.
Like a lot, like the act of doing it.
The act of doing it, like
established that you never win.
Oh no, not at the competition, not good at all. But a lot of people have to roll it up with their teeth, and it's frustrating because they have to use their teeth. I have a very easy way to roll it up, and I can do it in a second. And it's just So I almost want to just
talent.
I almost just want to get the cups just so I love roll up the rim because I can just boom show my talent off. You know who else has a promo? McDonald's. Yeah. Every time you buy 7 coffees, you get 1 free, guaranteed, every time.
So at
all year
McDonald's,
round,
you're guaranteed to. I mean, not win because it's not like a contest.
But
you're
guaranteed it's a win
to get something. But you still go to Tim Hortons.
It's a win. It's free coffee. That's a win.
So are we saying that even though McDonald's has the better deal, I still think there might be drugs in Tim Hortons coffee?
There could be.
Yeah.
But the roll up the rim, forming a habit, I think is what got me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It absolutely did.
But I figured it out though. I usually don't figure it out till way later in the year when McDonald's has a free coffee day, and then I'll go there and I'll be like, oh yeah, I love this.
Now,
and then I'll be at
figure it out.
I figured it out on Monday.
Okay.
So I have gone to McDonald's
after you bought the house.
Yes. Yeah. Unfortunately, after we'd already bought the house, we're moving further away from the McDonald's and closer to the Tim Hortons. Unfortunately, and actually, now the McDonald's isn't even on my drive out of the town anymore.
Tim Horton right now is wringing his hands out.
Owned my life. Tim Horton owns my life.
He does.
Yeah, but I figured it out, and I've just gone to McDonald's this whole week. I'm done with Tim Hortons. I'm done with Roll Up the Rim. I'm not even going to go back when it's Roll Up the Rim. I usually catch this late. I caught it early this year. I am never going back.
You're gonna go to bed one night. You're gonna wake up, and you're gonna be in the drive-thru at Tim Hortons.
Oh, for sure.
You just drove.
For sure.
To Tim Hortons.
I told Laura, actually, just yesterday, that I had figured it out. And that Tim Hortons was tricking me because I actually like McDonald's coffee better. And then this morning, I grabbed a toonie, and she said, "What's that for?" And I said, "For coffee." And she said, "Where?" I said, "Tim Hortons." That's actually what came out of my mouth this morning.
Yeah, you're theirs.
Yeah, I didn't go there, though. I went to McDonald's, and I'm loving it.
Let's get the show started here. Welcome to First Last Podcast with... Oh, no, we decided we weren't going to do that anymore.
Yeah,
it's going to be First Last. Welcome to First Last Podcast. Do we want to say podcast even? Welcome to First Last?
Yes. People have to know that. See, it's very confusing because we're on YouTube.
Right.
So somebody right now is watching and just saying, they actually think their computer's not working. They think their phone or their computer's not working because there's no video.
Right, it's buffering people. Just give it a moment.
So we do have to say podcast so that they know. I mean, it's probably a little late now that we're way into the podcast and saying it is one.
They've already restarted their computer. They're on their way to Geek Squad right now.
Yeah.
To see if they can figure out what's going on.
You know what I just thought of? We can call them viewers because we're on YouTube.
Right.
They're not listeners, they are viewers.
As long as they're listening to us on YouTube or iTunes.
Yes.
Because you can get all of our shows
right
those places. But if they're listening to us on SoundCloud, where you can get all of our most recent episodes, I guess they would still be listeners.
Okay, so we have to say listeners and viewers.
Right.
Okay, so from now on we say listeners and viewers.
Yes.
Not a big deal. It's fine. That's what happens when you put out your product on multiple platforms.
Mm-hmm. Right. So,
listeners and viewers. You're listening or viewing a podcast.
Right. And that podcast is First Last Podcast.
Yeah.
That seems redundant. I feel like that's really redundant.
This podcast is First Last Podcast. We
Yeah.
can probably drop one of the podcasts.
Okay, this First Last Podcast. No, that feels weird. This podcast is
So what we do...
First Last Podcast. I think that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it's fine. It's good.
I think we got it.
Yeah, what we do on this podcast, we actually do something. We watch the first episode of a TV series and the last episode of a TV series, and then we tell you what's going on in that TV series.
Right, because after watching those 2 episodes, we are experts on the entire series.
Exactly. It's actually all you need is in the first and last, if they've designed their show properly.
Just like saying podcast, to watch the middle episodes is just redundant.
Exactly.
You need nothing more than that.
No.
But before we get into which show we'll be talking about tonight, Dean, as you mentioned earlier, we have a sponsor this week.
We do have a sponsor, and it may or may not have anything to do with what we talked about earlier.
Oh, okay. You give me the sponsor, and then
Okay.
I'll let you know if it has anything to do. I'll answer that question.
Okay. So the sponsor today is Jim Tortons. Interested in longer lines, mediocre coffee, and a false sense of healthy eating? Come down to Jim Tortons. At Jimmy's, we promote a homey feel. It is the perfect spot to catch up with your best bud. Our fast food style setup is designed to make your stay as short and uncomfortable as possible. If we have a featured product, we'll ask you every single day if you want to try it, even if we know you're regular, because here at Jimmy's, our staff are robots and our customers are just cattle to be herded. Jim Tortons. Fooled you.
I'm not seeing the correlation.
No,
Maybe I'm just missing something.
Yeah, it's just another place where you can go get food, you can get coffee, you can get desserts. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just like a restaurant-style place.
Right.
I think they need to work on their ad. I mean, it doesn't really sound... Yeah, it doesn't really sound too appealing.
Jim Morton's?
Jim Tortons.
Jim Tortons.
Yeah.
So Jim Tortons is a play on Dunkin' Donuts.
Exactly. Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now is that a Canadian thing only? I've
Yeah.
never heard of them.
Yeah, Jim Tortons is just Canadian. It's pretty big though. There are lots of locations.
We have a massive Canadian audience. So
we do.
I have a feeling we'll get more and more Canadian sponsors.
Exactly. Yeah. In the US we're not so great. In Canada we're booming. Mm-hmm. And we haven't really penetrated the Philippines market yet.
We're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there. Or like the European market. We're working on it. We're working on the networking.
Yeah. So drink Jim Tortons? Did I get
Jim
it right
Tortons?
this time?
Yeah, Jim Tortons.
Jim Tortons.
Yeah, just go hang out with your buddy, grab a coffee and a donut, and you can just chill there. It actually sounds pretty terrible, but I don't know. I haven't been there. I haven't been to Jim Tortons, so.
Gotcha. Now, their promotion right now is the lick the rim to win. Is that
yes, exactly. Yeah, you can lick away the rim of the coffee cup. You can lick away the rim, and once you do that, and you've licked enough times, I have counted. You have to lick 887 times, but once you get down to it, it'll have a little message, and you may have won something. If you lick like 920 times, you actually lick the message off. So you got to watch.
It's a delicate balance.
It is very delicate. But if you count while you're licking, I mean, we can all count. So just count while you lick, and you never know. You could win. You could win a coffee. You could win a donut. You could win a house. I don't know. Car. It's a pretty great promotion.
Fantastic.
So for this first last podcast, the show that we are doing today.
Now, it would have sounded weird if you would have said, for this first last. So I guess we do need to keep the podcast part.
Yeah, you're right. That just proved it.
Yeah.
And that's how you learn. through experience and through using the words.
I mean, we're 11 episodes into this. We were bound to get it sooner or later.
Yeah, and we've been doing it the whole time, so really we knew from the get-go.
Right. I guess it was just kind of self-doubt.
Yeah.
I doubt everything.
Yeah.
So.
As you should.
Yeah. I don't know.
So, this week, the show that we watched, the pilot and the show we watched the finale of, is the FX show, The League.
Yep.
The League is a show about a group of guys, 5 friends, who are in a fantasy football league. And basically, the league is the most important thing in their life.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a half an hour show, comedy show. Yeah. What are your thoughts there, Alex?
Okay, so before we get into that,
Yeah.
Dean, you have played the fantasy football, right?
I have played the fantasy football before.
Okay. All right.
Actually, we have another podcast.
Yes.
It's about comics. We have a third guy on there.
Oh, it's about comics?
The other podcast is about comics.
Oh, sometimes it doesn't seem that way.
It's supposed to be about comics. Sometimes it's about sports because the other guy on there likes sports, and I also really like sports. So sometimes we get on a little bit of sports talk.
And if you were to, if you needed to like render me down into like one fact, like if someone said, you know this,
right,
and you know Alex, and that would be
hates sports.
Loves sport. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Hates sports.
That's true. I
So,
don't like sports.
Yeah.
So when you told me The League,
not in.
another time. Okay. Every time you mention a show, every time
You hate it.
Okay. I hate it. I hate the idea of watching it.
Every time I mention a show,
I hate the idea of.
Yes, every time I mention a show, you have to break something in your room just to be able to say, oh, okay, I guess that is a TV show.
Yes.
Yeah, so on this other podcast, me and the other gentleman, Patrick, we were actually in a fantasy football league this year together. I believe, I know I finished dead last out of 12, and I believe he finished second last. So we're good at it.
I feel like I won just by not playing. I feel like a winner.
It could be one of those things. I used to play fantasy football every year, and it got to the point where I was watching terrible games just because, in fantasy football, you pick players. Your team is composed of players on all the teams. You just pick out of, everyone in the league, so your team is composed of... could be one guy from every team, could be a couple guys from one team. You never know until you have your team, right? So you don't really know who you're going to be watching at the beginning of the season. You don't know who you're going to be cheering for because you don't know who you have. But then you get your team, and that's who you cheer for throughout the whole year. So I'll be watching games that aren't even close. I'll be watching games where it's 40-0, but I just want my guys to get some points. And there'll be another game in overtime I'm not even watching. So
won't there just be a summary later to let you know how they did?
Exactly. But I feel like if I cheer, it's going to help my players out. No, it's ludicrous. So
it doesn't work.
At one season, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to play fantasy football this year. I'm just going to watch great football games. And it was way better. It was the best season ever. So I haven't played since then, but last year, Patrick was in a little bit of a pinch, so I helped him out and joined his league and finished dead last. So there you go.
Okay. So that sports, I don't really care. I guess on the other show, when you guys talk about sports and I make a comment, people expect that of me now.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thing. When you guys
You're the guy,
about sports,
the guy who doesn't like sports.
Else.
Yeah. So guess what? It's only you and me here. So I forced you to talk about
Have
sports.
fun talking by yourself.
No, we tried that last week. It did not work.
No, I don't like watching sports, but I actually oftentimes like media, like TV shows and movies that have something to do with sports.
Yeah.
Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah.
So, while I wasn't that thrilled to be doing the league, it would have been worse if you would have said, hey, we're going to watch and talk about a basketball game or something like that.
We're going to watch the first game of the season, and we're going to watch the last game of the season.
And that's more games than I watch anyway.
Yeah, so you wouldn't have liked that. But the thing about the league, the fantasy football league that these guys are in does rule their lives and basically rule the show. But it's more
They
about
live for this league.
Yes, it's more about how they are going through their daily lives, which things that we all do, go through our daily lives. I guess everyone does that. Going through their daily lives and just keeping the league with them wherever they go. Like keeping everything, all the decisions they're making are all basically towards this, something to do with this.
Right.
And
so
it
you
could be...
You could replace this with like religion. This is a religion for them. They live and breathe.
You could just replace it with anything that like a group of people are really interested in. Right? It doesn't have to be fantasy football. Like it is. They're to the extreme. These are the extreme fantasy football fans.
This is how I'll envision you from now on.
Yeah, as you should.
Yeah.
Actually, let's do that. At the end of the show, you tell me which character I am out of the 5 main ones.
Okay. I can do that.
Okay. So yeah, there's 5 main guys. They all have their thing. They're all super into the league. Well, except for one guy, I guess. But they all really care about what is going on, and all their decisions, like it seems like all their life just revolves around it.
Right. And I like too that there's the 5 guys, but then there's also his name, Kevin's wife, Jenny.
Yeah. So
and
actually,
it's stated that she's like she's the better one of the two. Like she makes the calls for him.
She runs his team.
Yes.
Yeah. So I just want to say on the top too, this show I found out is what they call semi-scripted. So there's a short script with scenes and a few lines written, and they let the actors do what they want.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So it's a lot of improv. There are jokes sometimes written for them,
right.
Which they can say. But they just kind of do a bunch of takes and see how the scene evolves as they're all improving.
And you can really feel that too with this cast.
Definitely. And I think that helps it feel real. So what I really saw at the beginning of this show is that I can see parts of myself in all of these guys. Like they're all their own lanes and they're all different guys, but I can relate to all of them in different like situations that they're in. So let's go. I'm just going to go through the 5 guys. So the show starts off with Pete, and he's proclaiming that he's won their fantasy football league for 3 years, and I think they've done it for 4. So he's won 3 of the years. He's a guy who is in his 30s probably, who lives his life like he's in his 20s.
Right.
He's like uncomfortable with decisions that are going to force him to be a grown-up. He likes his buddies. He likes the league. He likes his freedom. So that's Pete. He early on in the show calls Kevin, which it seems like maybe they're like best buddies. I guess Kevin calls him from the toilet.
Right.
Which is hilarious because that's where I send probably 50% of my texts is from the toilet.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad I only get emails from you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, emails, most of them are from my computer.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's talking to Kevin.
Wait,
Kevin
hold on. Where are you right now?
Okay, so podcasting, I don't podcast in the bathroom. Even though the acoustics are great, my bathroom is actually located in basically a dead zone in my house. I can't get Wi-Fi down there.
Gotcha.
So don't worry, you're okay. I am pantsless, but everything is staying inside my body.
Bathroom, but...
Yeah. So he's talking to Kevin on the phone. Kevin is the guy in the bathroom. Kevin's the guy with a wife and a 5-year-old. His wife is Jenny. It's known that she basically runs his team. She's the smarter one in fantasy football.
Right. He definitely feels like the family man.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I actually think that him and Jenny and like the daughter, they're pretty charming together. Yeah. He's the family man, and they kind of keep the heart of the show in the first episode, right. I think.
Oh, yeah.
But they're both very competitive. and they're both very competitive, it seems like, together on the first show, but they're very competitive against each other on the last show.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's Pete, that's Kevin. We have Andre. So Andre is the butt of all jokes. He tries so hard to fit in with his friends and with, like, the bro camaraderie, and they just make fun of him at every step of the way.
Just to give you an idea of the character, they go into his house, and he has, I think it's from college, his first joint.
Yes.
He has it framed and up on the wall.
Because he's so proud. His buddies rolled him his first joint ever.
And then they break the news to him that it's just pubic hair rolled up in whatever kind of paper they use for that.
Right. And he's just saying, no, it can't be. I got high. Right. I got wicked high. Like, he pretends to love all the things they love, but he's kind of bad at it.
Yes, he's definitely the black sheep of the group.
Yes, I mean he dresses way different from all of them. He says things that it's like they pick on him, but he says things to make them pick on him.
Right, he's a dork.
Like he's a dork. Yeah, he's a dork. He thinks he just wants to fit in, but he's not quite getting it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then there's Ruxin. Ruxin is a new father, and he's obsessed with winning the league. I got like in the first episode, he's asking a child who is apparently really good at fantasy football. He's asking this child for advice all the time, no matter how creepy and stalkery it looks, no matter how inappropriate it is. He's trying to get information out of this kid.
But it always looks inappropriate. But
yeah,
he's never actually.
It never is
being inappropriate, but not in like a weird sexual way.
All he's thinking about is the league. That's all that's on his mind. So he goes to the kid's house late at night. He says, hey, I think the kid's name is Matthew or something. Hey, is Matthew available? And his dad's like, no, he's going to bed. He's not available. And he goes, oh, okay. Oh, no problem. I'll just catch up with him online. Like, and
the dad says, no, you won't.
The dad doesn't know who he is. He's just an adult coming to the kid's house to try to get information about the league. Yeah, so he's
about sports.
He's always looking for an edge. Okay, so then the last guy in the league is Taco. And Taco is a huge stoner, and he doesn't know anything about football. And he's basically completely clueless about anything around him unless you can smoke it or have sex with it.
Right.
He's just he's
take all of your brain cells and just destroy every single one of them.
He's barely there.
Like two. He's got like two.
Yeah, exactly.
Back and forth in there.
Exactly. He has a few brain cells, but like he's barely there.
Yeah.
So those are the 5 guys that make up basically the main cast of the show.
Right. Right. And you like all of them.
I like all of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So even though we give ratings later, let me just say, Dean, for the first time that you picked the show,
yeah,
I got to the end and thought, this is a good one.
Yes.
He did it. Dean,
yes.
He found the show that I enjoy. And I'm not saying that the shows that you picked before were bad. I just didn't like them.
I am so happy. The rest of this podcast is going to be great because I'm so happy. This is what okay, so the league, I have not seen the league. I have only seen the first and last of the league. I have heard about it. I had friends who had watched it who told me I have to watch the league. I've seen a few YouTube clips, which are basically of a guy who wasn't in the first episode, but he was in the last. But just some funny clips of a guy, and I said, oh, this looks interesting. And I've been waiting for it to come on Netflix, and it's not on Canadian Netflix. It's never come on Canadian Netflix. I've been waiting for, 7 years for it to come on Canadian Netflix. It's been on American Netflix that whole time.
Yeah, we got it. I can watch it at any point.
It hasn't come on Canadian Netflix. After I watched the first and after I watched the last, I went on Amazon and I ordered the DVDs.
Okay.
Not to spoil anything at the end. Ratings will come at the end. But
right.
I was happy with the pick I made this week.
The first episode, I think I laughed the entire time.
Yes. The first episode is so great. There's so many things in it. Like okay.
The birthday party scene?
Exactly. The birthday party is so good. That's where you kind of get them all together. It's the first time where you get all 5 guys together. And you see, like, kind of them playing off each other. You see everyone picking on Andre. I just want to point out, just like, so you don't really need to know a lot about football to enjoy the show. But there are some football jokes in there that help you out. But the first time they make fun of Andre is because he drafted Tiki Barber the year before, who is a commentator.
Right.
But, like, the mistake is understandable because Tiki Barber has a twin brother who did play at that time. So, like, it's one of those things where it's, like, a really understandable mistake, but they just pick on him. Like, they just relentlessly go after him. So, like, it's a mistake that anyone can make, really. Like, his twin brother still played. Like, that's probably who he meant, right? But
Right.
Yeah, so they all get together at this party, and that's around the time where they are going to figure out
Who picks
what
first?
the draft order is. Yeah, who picks first. So they all pick numbers out of a hat. Seems pretty boring. But those numbers aren't their draft order. Those numbers correspond to what is this called? A potato sack race?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That the
the
kids
numbers
are playing.
correspond to the kids who are running a potato sack race who are numbered. And so whatever number you pick, that's your kid. And so you have these adults just cheering so hard for these kids in a potato sack race because it's the draft order. So you want to get that number 1 pick.
Yeah.
So it's Kevin's child's birthday party, and he picks out a number and it's not his daughter, so he's cheering super hard for a girl that is not his daughter.
Well, and they mentioned that too. Is like, you didn't pick your daughter. He's like, it's fine. She's not that good anyway.
Yeah, he's like, that's great. She's slow.
Yeah. And then it's Ruxin's kid who wins. And
Yeah.
the kid makes it across the line, and Ruxin like picks him up, and he's like, or
It's a girl.
it's a girl,
Yeah.
picks her up, and is just like cheering.
He goes,
and the mom
I
comes
love this kid.
Yeah.
It's just another moment of Ruxin, like, just being Ruxin, where he just is, all he's thinking about is the league. He doesn't know how inappropriate he's doing,
Right, being
what he's
creepy
doing.
with a kid.
Yeah, and then I think after he puts the kid down, he just yells, suck it. Like,
Yeah.
they're at a 5-year-old's birthday party.
Yeah. So even at the birthday party, Taco writes a song
Oh my goodness.
for Kevin's daughter. I don't know. I wonder if that was ad-lib too, now that you mention.
Okay,
Now that
you know what? I did. So I wanted to know for the show, because I had heard that it was semi-scripted.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know for this show. I didn't want to just be saying things. I Googled how scripted is the league. And so I got an interview with a bunch of them. And so that's when I found out that there's just kind of a skeleton and they just go in an ad-lib. And actually in that article, they were talking to Taco about his song. And he said he wrote that song.
That's great.
Yeah, it is amazing. That song is actually, like, well, obviously it's super inappropriate, but it's so good. Like,
So
it was
so
such a
people
good
know,
song.
too. He's singing. It's her birthday. It's great.
Yeah.
Go back 9 months, or go back
5
to
years.
her. I think she's 5.
Yeah,
And he's singing about how she was born into the world and how it was great.
Yeah.
And then he goes back another 9 months and
Yes.
talks about
how she came into the world,
Yeah.
how that night went, and it is hilarious. I couldn't,
Jenny,
and
the
it just
mom,
kept.
runs up to stop it. But
Yeah.
what's great is Kevin, who's filming it, isn't filming her, so he's not paying attention. He's supposed to be filming the Taco and his daughter. It's their song.
Yeah.
But he's filming Ruxin and the kid who knows all the stuff about football.
Yeah,
They're
they call him the
overhearing some
Oracle.
conversation.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, it's so funny. So like they don't even stop Taco. He gets so inappropriate and he keeps going. And they don't stop him until Kevin finally realizes what he's saying. Actually, Jenny goes in and stops him because she's like, all right, if you're not going to pay attention, I'll go stop him.
right.
Yeah, that birthday party was great. And then from the birthday party, well, we go to a scene with Kevin and Ruxin, who are both lawyers but are kind of on the opposite sides, and they make a deal. So Ruxin won the first pick. Kevin and Ruxin make a deal that Ruxin's client, who's supposed to go away for 10 years, will only go away for 5 years if they swap picks. So Kevin's going to get number 1 pick, and Ruxin's going to get number 6 pick. And Ruxin is not happy.
No.
Which he delivers maybe my favorite line in the first episode, where he gets upset at his client because his client robbed 3 liquor stores.
Right.
And after Kevin leaves, Ruxin says, 3? Why didn't you just do 1? He said, I stole a Kit Kat last week. Nobody knows. Keep it small. I loved that. I thought that was so funny.
Yeah. I also really like a lot of this, the stuff dealing with Pete and Megan.
Yeah, Megan, I think.
Megan, sorry.
Yeah.
Their relationship.
Yes.
She wants a kid.
Yes.
But he's a big child himself.
Exactly. Again, it's her wanting to be an adult and him not wanting to be an adult.
Yeah. So one of the things that I didn't care for too much is they almost set her up to be a villain in the show in the first episode.
Yeah, kind of right off the bat for sure.
Right. But and she could be snotty a little bit, but I kind of also see where she's coming from too.
Yeah, so we don't know how long this has been going, right? We don't know how long Pete has been just being a child, and she's been wanting to move on, right?
I'm guessing forever.
Yeah, so that's true. I didn't really think about that. I just kind of went with the show and was thinking, yeah, Megan's the worst. Or sorry, Megan. Megan's the worst.
Yeah.
She's all over him about, like, getting rid of all his stuff.
She wants him to grow up. She wants him to stop doing the fantasy football.
In the first scene, she makes fun of his fantasy football league.
Right.
And she gives his fantasy football t-shirt, his draft t-shirt, I guess he was saying, the t-shirt he always wears to draft.
Yeah.
His lucky t-shirt. She gave it to the cleaning lady,
right.
Which later in the episode he has to buy off the cleaning lady for $200, and that's when he decides that he doesn't want to be with Megan anymore.
Right. Also, I think I was almost in tears during the finger scene.
Oh,
people watch the show.
Yes,
to
and
get the full effect.
Yes, we actually had to. Yeah, you have to bring that up because that comes in later in the finale. But that is so. It was so funny. There were so many times in that first episode where I was in tears.
Yeah. The way that he curls up in bed after.
I know. She slaps him on the butt and she says something like, "Good job, old boy," or something, and he just curls in the bed like he did not
traumatized.
He did not win this round. He lost this round. So that's the first. They basically just draft in the first episode. Oh, I will say that a hilarious moment for me was when Taco drafted a CFL player, which is the Canadian Football League. And they just kind of tell Taco, no, it's only NFL players. And the guy who plays Taco is Canadian, so that was also also pretty funny. But again, like Andre he's not going to make the mistake this year, and he drafts Keyshawn Johnson, which is also now he has retired. But like there are like so many wide receivers with the last name Johnson. Like it's just another thing where it totally could have happened, and he just gets picked on. They go after him.
So the first episode, hilarious.
Yeah.
It is funny the entire time. Let's get to the last episode.
Okay, let's go into the last. So let's just do a little rundown of where everyone is in the last. So the last starts, and Andre has actually married Pete's ex, Megan.
And she's expecting.
Yeah. Pete is in the DraftKings Fantasy Football Championship, and the first place prize is $1 million.
Yep.
So big for Pete. Taco gets summoned for jury duty, and so he decides to disappear forever.
Yep.
Because he thinks he's on trial, but he's actually it's just jury duty. Kevin and Jenny have a side bet going on that apparently involves like one of them losing their procreation abilities.
Yeah. One of them will end up getting snipped and tied.
Yeah, exactly. And they even made a trophy for it called the Snip.
The Snip. Yep.
Yeah. Ruxin is a widower. We didn't see his wife in the first, and we don't see her in the last. But he's a widower, and he's still looking for outside help for his lineup. He's always still focused on winning the league. And the advice actually comes from, in a dream, from his future self.
Oh, I was talking about the Shiva.
Oh, Yes, that
who he gets the
yeah. So I guess we didn't get to that either. They call the trophy that you win for the league the Shiva, and by piecing together kind of the first and the last episode, you see that Shiva is a girl they went to high school with.
Yes.
And so on the trophy, they have a picture of, it looks like a young girl. Like they have a picture of probably her from high school. And they call the trophy the Shiva. And yeah, she appears in the last episode. And so she is a person. And actually, Ruxin's son calls her the Shiva.
The Shiva.
Which was hilarious. And she says it's just Shiva. And Ruxin says, no, you did a good job. To his son, no, you did it right. She is the Shiva. Yeah, so that's what Ruxin's up to. And is that everybody? I think so. Yeah, that's the 5 people. So this episode, there's 3 trophies to be won. And the Shiva for winning. The Sacco, which if I guess I put together that it's the last place trophy. It's for the person who loses the league. Yep. And then the Snip, which was just between Jenny and Kevin.
Yes. Now, while I didn't like this episode as much as it didn't make me laugh as much.
Mm-hmm.
It was still a good episode.
Oh yeah, it was definitely very solid. You could see that it was like they hadn't lost the spark. Like maybe they had to tie up some things or whatever, and it's tough to close a show, right? Yeah. But it still had the funny spark. I mean, I just
feel like they were they crammed a lot in the last episode.
Exactly, and actually, the last episode I noticed this was 30 minutes. And the first episode was 22. So it looked like they were trying to cram just a lot in, and they had to run a little extra time, and yeah.
Well, the episode would have been a mess at 22 minutes.
Exactly. They needed that extra time, yeah.
No.
I mean, I would say that the Ruxin's dream could have been cut.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
No way. No.
You love the Ruxin's dream.
When they bring in Larry
David
as his future self.
I know. Okay, so that is awesome, but maybe it could have been shortened or something. It took up a lot of the middle of the episode.
It did.
No, but Larry David being his future self.
For if we're just talking about the progression of the show
and
the plot, not needed.
Right. But for comedy-wise,
yes,
needed.
Larry David as future Ruxin was perfect.
Oh, yeah.
That was so funny.
Yeah, it was very funny.
Because he's trying to decide whether or not to tell Pete,
to tell Andre
that Megan is not pregnant with his child, as he thinks.
Yes, she is pregnant with Pete's child, which Ruxin knows because he's doing the math. He's doing pregnancy math, and he figures that when Megan got pregnant, he had this weird conversation with Pete at a restaurant where Pete couldn't really sit down very comfortably. So just call back to the first episode, which was amazing. For Ruxin to figure out, he says, okay, so they're at Andre's place again. This is where parties take place because Andre makes all the money. He's a doctor. So they're at Andre's place and they're having a gender revealing party.
Which, okay. Sarah and I have had this conversation before. I think they're stupid. I think that's a dumb idea.
That's why I think this episode played it so well, because without saying they're stupid, it tiptoed around all those things, like where Kevin and Jenny come to the party, and they're like, "Oh, is this a shower?" And like, "No, it's a gender revealing party."
Right, you get to buy more gifts.
Yeah, you need gifts for this, and you need gifts for this. Oh, so is this like the shower gift? No, we're gonna have a shower later as well. Right. You need gifts for both. Yeah, that was so funny. So yeah, Ruxin has figured it out, and Andre obviously doesn't know. They have been married already, and he thinks it's his child.
Yep.
So Ruxin has to go through this decision of whether he should tell Andre, because if Andre finds out that it's not his child, he's going to be devastated, so he's going to mess up his fantasy football picks. So Ruxin is torn whether he should ruin one of his friends' lives so that he can win the league, or he should not tell him because he's his friend. And he actually decides to not tell him.
Until his 18th birthday.
Oh yeah, until his 18th birthday, which, like, that was a funny scene, them sending a video to Andre's child when he's 18 to tell him that Pete was the father, because just makes Megan look worse. Megan knows that it's Pete's the father, and she doesn't tell the kid for like 18 years. So it could be a moment where you're like, these guys are super mean. They're telling the kid that his father's not really his father, but really it's on Megan on this one.
Yeah, and it's also, well, there's two parts to it. It's more picking on Andre.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
And the kid is thrilled when he finds out that
he's so thrilled. He just walks out, and that's the end of the show. That's the end of the whole show. It's funny. Yeah.
Just more piling up on Andre, which, I mean, how can you not?
You have to pile on Andre. He's the perfect, like, sad sack who just, like, is the tryhard. He's the perfect tryhard.
Yep.
He always has the parties at his place, right? He's always, like, just trying to be the best, right? He's so happy that everyone's at his place hanging out. He thinks they're all best of friends, but they're just making fun of him the whole time.
I think everyone knows an Andre.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah.
Every single person knows, has at one point encountered or had an Andre in their friend group.
When he pulled out the Draytones, his college a cappella group, and they started singing for the whole party, I was laughing out loud there.
Yes.
That was so funny.
So, in the end, Pete does win the DraftKings
$1 million, yeah.
fantasy football thing. He wins the $1 million. And Kevin wins the snip, but I guess it would be Jenny who actually wins it.
Right, Kevin wins the matchup, so Jenny receives the trophy for the snip, which is
to have the procedure done.
Yes, which is a giant scissors.
So Kevin, they both walk away.
Yeah.
But Jenny comes back, and they give her the trophy, and she throws it as Kevin walks back into the room, and it gets him right in the crotch.
It punctures his testicle.
Yep.
And so he has to have a procedure to get them removed. So even though he won, he lost.
Yeah, he definitely lost.
One of the best parts for me, Pete wins $1 million because he wins the DraftKings thing. But he comes back, and the Sacco is for last place.
Yep.
So he comes back, and they're all making fun of him because he wins the Sacco.
Even though he
won $1 million in, like, his actual life, they're all still making fun of him.
It has nothing to do with the league. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. It doesn't matter. He comes back and he loses the whole league, I guess, and gets the Sacco trophy, and they all just make fun of him. It's so funny to me and he, like, says it hurts. He's like, even though I'm super rich right now, this really hurts. This really hurts. And so the Shiva in the final season, it was Ruxin. So what I got from this episode is that everybody was against everybody in this final episode, and whoever got the most points won the Shiva. Mm-hmm. And so they had a coin that was part of the league. I guess they needed to fill an extra spot because there's only 5 of them, so maybe they needed 6. So they had a coin who had a team, and Ruxin who had a team, and Ruxin and the coin tied for first, so they decided to flip the coin to see who won, and the coin won, and Ruxin said it was coin collusion.
He said
it's just going to pick itself. It's a coin. It's just going to pick itself. So the final winner of the Shiva was the coin. Yeah. So I had also heard about this show because I listened to a podcast where they make fun of terrible movies called How Did This Get Made? And on that podcast is Andre, the guy who plays Andre, his wife, and the guy who plays Rafi. And so Rafi was in 2 scenes in this final episode.
Yes.
And I wanted to talk about Rafi for a bit.
Okay, because I have a feeling we're going to have differing opinions on Rafi.
I think so, because Rafi, to me, is amazing. Like, I think he is so insane, disgusting, and hilarious. He is nothing like any of these other characters. I don't even know what's going on. But he is in 2 scenes. The first scene, he is explaining where he thinks babies come from, which is semen on a towel and then climbing up a girl's leg.
It swims up the leg.
Swims up the leg. So then so this is where it goes over the top, where it can either like really hit or really miss. And he freaks out because his girlfriend, which is actually a watermelon, has been crushed. And then he starts having sex with the watermelon.
Yes.
So that, like, the part where he's having sex with the watermelon is kind of weird. And like, I'm not sure I like it, except for the fact that he's telling Kevin to watch.
That he needs to watch in order for him to finish.
But he's saying Brian.
Yeah.
He's saying, Brian, you have to watch Brian. Brian, I can't finish unless you watch. His name is Kevin. So it's just like, I thought it was a little weird, the scene, but as soon as I heard him say Brian, I couldn't stop laughing. I thought it was just hilarious. The second scene, though, I think was way better than the first scene. And that's when the Shiva is talking to Ruxin about his lineup. Rafi comes in, he hugs Shiva, and he says, "Ooh, you smell good. What is that, McDonald's?" He says, "You smell like a Big Mac." That was, I laughed very hard there. Also, when he's running through, so he thinks Ruxin and Shiva are hooking up, and they aren't. So he keeps running through the things that they could be doing. And when he got to swapping poops butt to butt, I couldn't contain myself.
Yeah, okay. And we do have differing opinions on Rafi.
Yeah, he's disgusting.
There were some times where I would laugh at what he was saying, but for the most part, he was too over the top for what I felt was already established.
Right, yeah.
The type of show that had been established already.
Exactly. He's nothing like these other guys. Like,
No.
And this is where I guess maybe the improv comes in, right? They're just like, you're going to be a ridiculous guy. And he just kind of takes it over the top.
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like he didn't really fit with the rest of the show. So he was definitely not my favorite person.
Yeah.
There.
I would also say he wasn't my favorite. But I would say the 2 scenes he was in, I laughed.
There were definitely funny moments, for sure.
I think the first scene, I said that Ruxin line might have been my favorite. Or sorry, in the first episode. In the last episode, I think his you smell good, and then saying, "What is that, McDonald's?" might have been my favorite.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
So let's get into Hero and Zero.
Okay.
You go.
I can go.
I'll let you go. I think I went first last time. You go first this time.
Okay, so my hero is Andre. I love Andre. I cannot get enough of how they pick on him and his responses. Like, he just takes it and comes back with something that they can just pick on again.
Yep. Another
fantastic line that he has in the first episode. You'll probably have to bleep me out, but I'm going to say it.
All right.
He wins. Well, he picks out of the hat the number 1 pick. This is before he knows that they're doing. This is before he knows that they're doing the race. And he picks number 1. He says, "Tim Brady, motherfuckers," which is such an Andre thing to say because the player's name is Tom Brady. So that is just so amazing. It's so Andre right there. Like, he just can't do it. He just can't. He's trying so hard to be cool and fit in with the bros, and he just can't do it. He gets wicked high off a pube joint. I think he's the only person who said the name of his team, and his team name is the Double Entendres.
Yep.
Another amazing thing. His acapella group's called the Draytones. I just love him. I can't get enough Andre.
That's a really good pick.
Yeah.
I love that you chose Andre, because even though he is the one that everyone picks on, he's still a great character.
He's a great character, yeah.
Mine has to be Mine has to be Kevin, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was the one that I could most identify with.
Yes,
I think.
yeah.
Like I saw a lot of traits in Kevin that I have myself.
Okay, yeah, totally.
So Kevin was definitely, except for maybe the sports stuff.
Yeah, but like
everyone's fanatical about something.
Exactly,
So you can
exactly.
replace the sport thing with whatever you're into.
Exactly, yeah. Kevin's like the guy who is a grown-up, but is still loving that world of the thing he's really into.
Has a super competitive wife.
Yeah.
I live with that every day.
That's awesome.
Every single day.
That's awesome.
So yeah, Kevin's my hero, and I'm guessing we're gonna have differing zeros.
Yeah, we're probably gonna have differing zeros. Mine is someone you defended earlier on. Mine's Megan. The guy, as a guy who has hobbies that could be considered lame or geeky, it was really upsetting to me when she tears down Pete's interest and hobby right in the first scene.
Okay.
I did not like that. I know he's being childish like about it, and he's not growing up, but you can still be into those things, right? When you're and still be a grown up. So I didn't like it. I didn't like when she teared him down.
Okay, can I give like a different side of it though?
Yes, definitely.
It never felt like he put forth any effort. Like if he could have met her like halfway, I'm sure she would have been fine with it. But we don't know how long they had been together before this started. How long she had been dealing with his man-childness.
Yes, yeah, that it is true. But also in the final episode, like not telling Andre that it's Pete's baby.
But he's happy, so she wanted to keep.
I know.
I don't actually see her as the villain at all.
She's my zero. That's all. There's no villains in this show.
Are you ready for my zero?
Megan is. You know what? I'm ready for your zero.
Can you guess who my zero is?
Is it Rafi?
No.
Oh, okay.
There's a character I dislike more than Rafi.
Okay, who is it?
And that's actually Pete.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. For all of the reasons I just said in the Megan.
So I got Megan. You're Team Megan. I'm Team Pete.
Yeah. And
you know what?
That's hard for me to side with too, because she does do a lot of things that are horrible.
She just gives away his T-shirt that he really loves.
Sure, but he doesn't do anything to help matters. Like
yeah.
He feels like a kid, and with dealing with a kid, eventually that gets tiring. These people are adults.
Yeah.
So, like, Pete does a lot of funny stuff. So, I mean, I still like him as a character a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's definitely my zero.
Well, you can tell that you can pick him as zero for sure, because of the first episode, he just kind of bails on his marriage, right?
Yeah.
So, like, just because his wife gave away his T-shirt, that's not the only reason, but like he says they fight all the time, but like that's the thing that puts him over the top, and he just says he bails.
Now, even though we're experts on The League now, because we watched the first and the last.
Oh yeah.
I feel like if I would have watched more, I would have a better opinion of Pete.
Okay, yeah.
Because especially in the first episode, I feel like they were setting him up to be sympathetic.
Yeah.
But I saw him probably like how Megan saw him.
But like, yeah, Megan though, getting together with Andre, I just don't. It's weird.
Trust me, she does plenty of things that are really annoying. When she says that she wants to go to a benefit for dogs with Down syndrome. Yeah,
and Pete laughs, and then he says, "Oh, you're serious." He's like, how can they tell that dogs have Down syndrome?
Yeah, so trust me, she's by no means my favorite character.
Right, but Pete is yours. You know what? They can be zeros together as a couple.
There we go.
Yeah.
Perfect zeros.
Yeah, there you go. They're perfect zeros. Let's get to ratings.
Ratings. Do you want
me to go? I'll go.
Oh, okay, so we're both ready. Okay, you go.
I will go. I've already expressed that I went on Amazon and ordered the seasons. I loved it. I was laughing the whole time. It is 9 out of 10 for me. It is a high score.
Wow. Okay. So I really did enjoy the show. I liked it a lot. But because it was a Dean show, I feel like I can't rate it higher than
A 6.
a 6.
Yeah, like if history proves anything, my shows can't go higher than 6. So
No,
I realize that's the
you
ceiling.
went through and got all of the ratings.
Yeah, I realize that's the ceiling, so I'm expecting at least a 5 here.
Oh, hold on. Which one did I give a 6? Was it Lost?
You gave Lost and Prison Break a 6, so we have hit that twice.
Okay.
But you also have a 2, 3, and 4 in there for other shows that I've picked, so it's not looking great for me.
This gets an 8.
Yes.
I'm skipping the 7.
Yes.
7 and going right to 8.
What a solid show.
It is. It was a lot of fun to watch. I've told people, I've mentioned this before on the show, that there's sometimes where I'll watch a show, I'll speed up I'll watch it at like a 1.5 speed or 2 times speed. No, this one I did not. I watched this one just as it was meant to be.
Nice.
It was so funny.
Excellent.
I enjoyed it a lot. I probably enjoyed the first episode more than the last episode.
Yeah, I would say that as well. I would say the first is better than the last.
Yeah, but one of the things that I didn't like, and this will go into the last portion. One of the things that I didn't like was that I was so busy today with everything. Not only is there work, but we do both the podcasts on the same day.
True.
I didn't like that I didn't have time to watch more, because I definitely would.
Yes, and obviously I would, because I ordered them, not just for them to sit on my shelf. I mean, they could, because I know everything, but I want to watch some more.
Exactly. So we're both going to watch more. You give it a 9, I give it an 8.
Yes.
This has been the best Dean show so far for me.
We're on a roll, man.
Yeah, we're getting there. Like, if
things
you
are
go back
looking up for us.
If after Glee was a low point.
Yes. Glee was the low point in our podcasting lives.
Yes. Then you still give it a 6 though.
But that's like one of the lowest scores. Yeah, that's like one of the lowest scores I've given.
You gave 2 shows 5s.
Yeah, but I actually really do enjoy the singing in Glee, so.
Okay. So, I know I mentioned this before, but you can find all of our episodes on YouTube and iTunes. You can find all of the most recent episodes on SoundCloud. You can go on our Facebook page. That's where we post the links for everything. And most of the time, we'll tell you which show we're going to watch, or we're going to talk about next week.
Yep.
Next week is my pick. And if you want to know what it is, check us out on Facebook.
Perfect.
All right, let's get out of here.
Tim Brady, motherfuckers.